Thank you once again for watching the viral news source. And I don't know if this is viral news, but it should be. And this video is actually 2 years old, and I thought about it over the past week or two because I remember I saw it a while ago, and I said this needs to be reviewed. So, as you can see, the title says Bill Gates says civil war is coming. Election will be hung. So let's get into this video and I will give you my comments along the way. Let's go.
So here's a story from Business Insider. Bill Gates says political polarization may bring it all to an end and could even lead to a civil war. I saw this headline and I was like, wow, that's really interesting thing of him to say, but so what? A lot of people have said that. And then I actually scroll down and read the quote. He says, I admit that political polarization may bring it all to an end. We're going to have a hung election and a civil war. Yet he didn't say we might. He says we are.
And I don't have the video link, but I literally saw a video with Bill Gates saying this out of his mouth. I'll try to find this video. And he said it like it was prophecy, like it was going to happen. And so what has raised my eyebrows about this, number one, is I don't know what your thoughts are on the last election. I believe that it wasn't a fair election. I believe that there was an outcome that was wanted by one side. I'm sure you know who I'm talking to. And they stopped at no length to have that outcome. And it looks like we are headed in the same direction. I'd like to see your comments below on what you think of that. But yeah, let's take a look at this video. The video is it's 16 minutes, but we'll watch as much as we can, as long as it all makes sense. But let's go.
We are going to have a hung election and a civil war. Now, I wonder, could this be because Bill Gates reads The Bulwark? Because we talked about that last week, and I don't know if you saw the story. The Bulwark published an article about how the Civil War could start. And I think they make an interesting point that come the midterms, you got right-wing people and left-wing people showing up to the polls. Duh, it's an election. And they're accusing each other of impropriety.
And mind you, this election is the most important election that this country has ever had. Number one, we are going into an AI age. No other election ever had this involved. Number two, there was such a big discrepancy with the last election. And a lot of people feel like they've been cheated and they want their lick back. Number three, this would be if the one side wins, the first female who is quote unquote part black, which I don't believe she's black at all, but that's just my personal opinion. But she would not only be a woman, but to be also the first part black / whatever she is, female in office. Okay? There's a lot of resentment from one side, and I remember going to the gym during the last election, or like when Trump was in office, and you couldn't even really say the words Donald Trump because people would look at you crazy. Like, I had people that would look at me. I could even be talking about him in a bad way. They would look at me like they wanted to rip my head off. Okay? So this is going to be a pivotal point in the history of this country. And I predict either way it goes, people are going to be upset, and what Bill Gates is talking about is going to happen. And keep in mind, he said this over 2 years ago. What does that mean?
Here's something, a fight breaks out, someone's armed, someone gets shot. There's a viral video of someone being killed in a polling place. That's what the Bulwark said. I don't know for sure, but I do think that if you already have people who don't trust the election, they're of course going to show up to polling places. I mean, what, even 5 people maybe at each place? And then you're going to get Antifa types and leftist types, and they're going to show up as well. And then what happens?
Well, his comments are very important here because he said specifically, I quote, "I have no experience with it. I'm not going to put my money on it because I don't know how to spend it," saying pretty much that it's guaranteed. But then he also went on and later made the points that it's polarization and the lack of trust that is the main problem, specifically pointing at Robert Kennedy as someone who, of course, criticized him. And he's using this concern, which a large majority of the American people have. A lot of people think there's going to be a civil war in this country, according to many polls. He's using this fear in order to galvanize.
Okay, so my question is, if there's a civil war, who's going to be fighting who? And what is it going to be, a Democrat versus a Republican? Or is it going to be a Donald Trumper versus a Kamala Harris supporter? And if that's the case, then how do you identify that or them? Or is it going to be a lot of white Americans who have the deep-seated racial hatred in their heart that want to kill people of color, namely black people? But a lot of black people at this point have hopped over to the side of the, I'm not going to say Republican, I'm going to say on the side of Donald Trump. So I understand what Gates is saying, but I'm trying to figure out if it's a civil war, unless we're just going to target, or they're going to target the people in politics and try to kill them all, which that wouldn't be good either, or maybe it would be, I don't know. But I'm just saying, who's going to be fighting who? And if it's just a bunch of white people that want to kill black people, that's a big mistake. Because I'm black. And I can assure you, I'm not going with the cheaters. Okay? I don't know where this is going to go. But it will probably be pretty exciting. Let's continue.
Pressure on people criticizing him. So this is another aspect to also understand here with his latest kind of salacious comments.
I love this idea that like Bill Gates is sitting in his living room like watching TV, and then he just comes across this a news story about Robert Kennedy criticizing him, and he said, "What about me? There's going to be a civil war in this country." Like he thinks that.
But the article also talks about how part of the problem is misinformation, right? And
that's a pretty young lady.
We know that misinformation is a catch-all term that is used to describe anything that
I kind of like the way she talks. I like her voice.
The left doesn't agree with.
Yep.
You know.
Here's my favorite part though. He says, quote, "I have no expertise in that. I'm not going to divert my money to that because I wouldn't know how to spend it," says the guy who owns more farmland than anyone else in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I start to wonder about that because when he started.
That's a great. Why does Bill Gates own more farmland than anyone in the United States? And why, and I think they're going to talk about this, is he trying to get African people to eat GMO products and replace them, or replace GMO food for them eating meat such as cattle and chicken? Billy boy, what are you on? What's going on, man?
Buying up farmland, we talked about it,
right?
And we were like,
creepy.
Why is he doing this?
Right.
Yeah. Good investment, maybe. Now he's like, oh yeah, and by the way, there's going to be a civil war, and it's like, is that why you're? Because here's what I said when he was like, I wouldn't know what to do. I said it's simple, like build a bunker. I mean, what I actually said was get a corporate laundromat and hire 8 German guys to start digging underneath one of your machines. You know, for your, you know. He's watching Better Call Saul. So
Yeah, I mean, he's also working on a lot of
Billy, your thought processes from the things that you've put into the public kind of concern me. Like, what's really good, homie? I don't know. What do you got going on, Bill? You're trying. You know what I think it is, everybody? I think Bill and other people that have ginormous money are trying to depopulate the world before AI hits us full force. Because think about it. We're going to have billions of people out of jobs with nothing but time on their hands. And I think that they're looking at it like, that's a problem. But you guys at the top are really weirdos because it's not a problem. But it is a problem because the problem is you guys.
interesting projects. He's introducing a new kind of patented GMO corn into Africa, which allegedly is going to be helping them deal with hunger and the climate.
GMO corn, which corn is not good for humans to consume. Listen to this.
And in reality, he wants to get people off of meat. He wants people to stop using cows, chickens, pigs in order to fight climate change. And he's doing this with...
Oh, but he wants us to eat corn, which is high in sugar or high glycemic. That is not something that a human needs to be eating. But you want to give us the fake GMO version of that and get us to stop eating meat because you say so. Oh, Bill, it's time for you, I think, to become an ancestor and evolve off of the planet.
GMO corn.
Is this corn going to be the kind that has no seeds? You know how there was like Monsanto?
Yeah.
Monsanto seeds that...
That's exactly what GMO is. It has no seeds. It's not real organic food. Yeah. Yeah, Shorty with the nice voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That did that specifically,
Right,
so
right, right.
farmers had to keep buying it from them,
for
and
to keep-
farmers
yeah.
were sued even for cross-pollination
Exactly.
Previously before.
well,
it's still unknown the details of what's happening here, but Bill Gates was one of the major backers of Monsanto, which introduced corn, which is heavily subsidized
Bill, I'm really thinking you're a dirt box.
and creates high fructose corn syrup, which is banned in many places around the world.
So wait. They produced corn that made no seeds.
Yes.
They produced a number
That's GMO. It produces no seeds.
of agricultural products that produced no seeds, so the farmer always had to buy the
seeds.
seeds
Well, like,
from
you couldn't,
Monsanto and be
like,
dependent
yeah,
on them.
Right. No, I get that.
Yes.
And I know there's like seedless watermelon. I'm just imagining.
I'm wondering about how seedless corn would work, since all
weird.
corn is
Yeah.
seeds,
Yeah.
right? So,
I think it
as I
was
said that, I was like
specifically
That's a good point, Shorty. Good point.
trying to visualize
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
it's
yeah.
sterilized. So it can
Sterilized
regrow.
corn.
Yeah.
So
But
it
I'm
doesn't-
wondering. I mean, like seedless fruits, things like that. We have seedless grapes. I'm just wondering, it's like I'm imagining a dystopian future where people find seeds and they're like, we're saved, and they plant them and they get one crop, and then there's no reproduction. from
and
the
there's
plants.
nothing. Yeah,
And
exactly.
then it's over.
Yeah, that's why they have those seed vaults in the Arctic.
Svalbard.
Right.
Yeah, it's in what is that, Norway, or is it?
I think it's Norway.
Is it Norway? Svalbard.
Yeah.
The seed vault where they store all those seeds, because I guess we don't want to die. You know,
Yeah,
like
we don't want to die. I think it's a good idea to
Humans have
store
grown
those
quite
seeds.
fond of living.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of them, at least. You know.
But as he's trying to push for climate change, telling people not to eat real meat, he also has 100 patents on synthetic meats, on synthetic cheeses. He also has a lot of intellectual property, and he literally just came out a couple of months ago and said rich countries need to switch.
You know what? Tell me if I'm the only one that thinks like this, but like, and granted, Bill Gates has accomplished more with his pinky finger than I will with my whole life. I'll keep it honest, right? But he also has the demeanor of a super duper geeky, nerdy weirdo that is up to no good at this point of his life. Tell me if you think that I'm wrong. If you disagree with me, I want to hear it in the comments and why. Because, Bill, you look like a weirdo. But I love your money game. You'll holler at me, let's make some money together, but you're still a weirdo. And I would tell you that in your face no matter how much money you have. Homeboy. You're a freaking weirdo. Okay?
Switch to completely synthetic beef, which of course would greatly benefit him more
Right.
than anyone else. So we have to start thinking about why he made these comments now about civil war and what's the greater benefit to him. As of course, it's also important to note here that he is a man that has financed and funneled hundreds of millions of dollars into the corporate media that literally acts like his PR marketing team that regurgitates all of his larger business proposals and sells it to the American and international public. The Guardian, the BBC, MSNBC, many organizations are directly financed by Bill Gates, and this is why you can't trust any legitimate news coverage, as well as also the fact checkers that, of course, attack any criticism of him, which is absolutely dystopian and ridiculous to live in such a world where we can't even criticize this billionaire that is best friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
I just
I could not have said that better. Word to Jerry Springer. Okay, what's up with you, weirdo Bill? What's really going on? Let us continue.
I see all these people that say they don't think civil war is possible and stuff, and I'm just like, more and more people are at each other's throats. More and more people are accusing each other of being evil. It doesn't matter if you're right or they're right. You know, we think we're right. I think we have evidence to back it up. We don't fall for the hoaxes like Jussie Smollett or the Covington kids
Or the Duke volleyball thing.
Duke volleyball, the lacrosse thing.
No, the volleyball thing.
What was that?
Well, there was,
yes,
of
I
course, the
remember
lacrosse
hearing
thing.
about that.
But then there was the young woman who said that she was the volleyball player and she was out at BYU.
And there was a racial
and
slur
said that there was
used
a
against
racial
her.
slur and that people were calling her racial slurs the whole time. And after an investigation, it turned out nobody else had heard it at all.
Right, so these
no one
people-
had said it.
But the corporate media ran with it like it was
The
a real
corporate media
story,
ran
even though it
with
was a
it.
public event in
Right.
front of other people.
And I remember looking at that story when it came out, and we were like, we're going to hold on this because I bet this is a hoax. And then sure enough, it was.
So
Okay, it could be a hoax, young lady with the nice voice, but that has happened in the history of this country more often than not. People hurling racial slurs, and I'm going to say it because I'm black, namely at black people. We went through 400 years of people who have your skin color making fun of us, calling us ninjas. Okay, and henceforth that word has been passed down generationally to the people in my group. So we're not going to act like this could not have been true. Maybe this was a one-off of many one-offs where, okay, it didn't really happen. But let's not be mistaken and pretend like this has not been the history of this country. Young lady with the nice glasses and cute voice, okay?
So this is the point. I mean, we sit here, we read the news, and we're like, okay, these things are probably fake. Oh, here's another story. That's probably fake. We're going to wait for evidence. The other side is just like, must be true. Let's roll
run with it.
It doesn't matter who actually is right, though. Truth is irrelevant. As much as I think truth matters for us, in terms of will a civil war happen, the truth is meaningless, and it's exemplified very simply. If you go to one of these people and say, here's the truth, they go, don't care.
But
I don't care.
you know what, that people are, yes, that does happen. That makes it all the more important for us to hold on to reality and hold on to the truth.
I agree.
And to stand on it. You have to stand on the truth.
Okay, I agree with that. You should stand on the truth, right? But the problem with standing on the truth, and I have bared witness to this in my own life, is that, and the Bible also backs me up on this, the Bible says, you will be hated for the truth. And I have told the truth about things to certain people that I know or people in my family, and it was the absolute truth. And people have isolated me and cut me off from them, which is fine, right? But all I'm saying is that there is a price to pay for conveying the truth. But nonetheless, I feel like if it's the truth, it must be said and forget the consequences. If you are a person that is morally upright. Now, if you're a dirt box, then just go with the sheep. But no, when you stand on righteousness, which usually would be the truth, people are going to want your head on a silver platter.
For existence and reality, the truth matters. What I'm saying is, in terms of will there be a civil war, it doesn't matter if you hold the truth or they hold the truth, because they are zealots who will believe whatever is placed in front of them. So you can go to them as an outsider, like Larry, I think it was Larry Elder pointing this out, and show them, here is the transcript from the New York Times of Trump saying, condemn the white supremacists. And they go, I don't care. I don't want to hear it.
Right, because they don't think that it.
You know what? I'm going to tell you why that was such a great point. I remember when Trump was running for office and I was having debates with my friends, and I would point out, look at this fact. Oh, look at that fact. Oh, look at what the left is saying. Look at this right here. And then look what he's saying. And I would say he, because, he hijacked the Republican Party, right? Cool, right? So it'd be them against him, right? But I noticed whenever I would put the truth in any person's face that hated Big Daddy T, okay? When they saw the truth, it was kind of like pouring hot, boiling water on them. They wanted no parts of it. And it got so bad that they would start configuring things out of thin air to make up lies against this man who we all know Trump has diarrhea of the mouth, and he'll say anything, but that's what makes him so unique, is that he'll just say how he feels. People says he lied about this and lied about that. Maybe he's been misinformed about many things. I don't know. But a lot of what he said, from his point of view, he felt like it was true, right? But it doesn't matter what you show people on the other side about how they were wrong. They're going to just disagree anyway because they hate his guts. And what would make a group of people, where's all the hatred from? What does that stem from? Because last I checked, the people on the other side have sold more lies than anyone else on the planet. For God's sakes, they started from the KKK. Dispute that. Yeah, that's your people, okay? But anyway, let us continue.
It matches what they believe already. I mean, a civil war, though, like, you and I were talking about this before we aired, and the people who are like, oh, I walk outside and nobody's angry at each other. There's no fighting in the street. A civil war wouldn't be like fighting in the street. People would arm up, go to their separate camps, like go to their separate areas or whatever.
Well, no, well, sort of. We have this tweet here from Scott Adams, and he says, there won't be a civil war in the United States, not even close. There is no appetite for it outside Twitter imagination. One person said, your source? And his response was walking outside.
Wasn't he earlier just saying that people are going to be shot in the streets?
He was saying Republicans will be hunted.
Same person.
And then, we did see that happen on a couple occasions, so I don't know why he's changing his mind.
The other thing, though, is...
what I responded to him was, what about walking outside in Portland, LA, Chicago, or New York with a Trump shirt on? And I agree, Scott Adams may be right. It could just be a slow revolution of authoritarian powers because the right doesn't want to fight. But here's the point I made.
So that's what I was trying to say. Like, how would this civil war go down? Is it just going to be like white people shooting people of color? Because then you could be shooting the actual people who support your side, if you're for the red or if you're for the blue. So for me, that ain't gonna work. Or would you have to wear a shirt identifying what team you're on? Like the Warriors versus the Celtics. I don't know. How was that gonna work? I don't know. Okay? But the fact that your boy Bill Gates, said this is quite concerning. And when I saw the video of him saying this, He looked like he was dead serious. And so my question was, what does he know that we didn't know or we don't know? And we already see things are already kind of on edge for this election. But Billy G said this 2 years ago. Holler at me in the comments. Let me know if I'm crazy. You think I'm crazy? I know crazy, man. I know crazy.
Imagine it's January 1861, and a guy in Atlanta walks out of his house and he's fuming. He's like, "Oh, I just read the paper and I hate
And I'm in Atlanta, by the way, folk. Let's go.
those Yankees." Ooh, and then he walks up to his
Yeah.
neighbor and punches his southern neighbor in the face. Why would he do that?
Yeah.
His neighbor agrees with him. Of course, you can walk outside and no one's fighting. Like, people in New York agreed with each other. They were cheering on what was it? It was the dude. It was a southern dude who caned a northern guy, right?
That's what I just said. You go and hit somebody, it could be the person that's on your side. How is this thing going to work? But I think Billy G has something up his sleeve. And he knows something that we don't know.
I think it was the caning.
I don't know.
I don't remember their
I don't
names.
remember.
But like, one side was cheering it on, one side was condemning it. So yeah, in the South, you walked outside and everyone was
Okay.
like, "It was bad that happened," and then people in the North were like,
True.
"It was good that happened," or I think it's inverted. The point is, yeah, you surprised that you walked outside in like 80% Democrat New York and nobody's fighting each other? Okay, well, put on a MAGA hat like Blair White did and walk around LA and see how
Right,
long
see
it
what
takes until they
happens.
attack you, because they did. Blair got attacked, and this was years ago. So yeah, you can get attacked. I'm not saying that's proof civil war is going to happen. I think we look at what the FBI is doing and we're like, oh, I mean, certainly the FBI going after, they just raided the home of a pro-life activist.
Right, that was crazy.
Absolutely insane over like, because they're like, it's the FACE Act, because you assaulted somebody who was working at an abortion clinic.
Even though the charges were just
So this video is like, I think this video is 2 years old. But along the lines with the FBI, they are right now invading a lot of people's spaces. Somebody else today just got raided. Not the rapper Little Durk. I think 6ix9ine, the other rapper. I don't know, but it's so many back to back. It's out of control. But let's wrap it up, B. Let's go.
dismissed by a court.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And this is like, what, years later or something, right?
Yep. 1 year. Yep.
So, you know, when I see the FBI weaponized and going after run-of-the-mill conservatives, just like, this is like a regular person, this is not like a politician, my immediate instinct is civil war. But my point here is that, no, Scott might be right. You know, conservatives on the right might just, you know, get on their knees and say, you know, "I'm so sorry, please, I don't want to fight."
Well, we have been doing that for a while. That's been going on.
Look, I understand,
The thing about saying that it's all just happening on Twitter, though, is Twitter is our collective imagination.
Okay, I'm going to give you my brief synopsis. Okay, we talked about Billy G, Civil War, the left, the right. You know what I think? I think the world, with the recent introduction of AI heading full steam ahead, it looks like there's no turning back. And whoever reaches quantum supremacy and AI supremacy is undisputedly going to be the ruler of the world. There is no catching up to whoever is in first place. With that happening right now, planet Earth, I'd like to tell you it's hammer time for almost everybody. We will never have the intelligence of AI. And I predict from what I've seen and studied that AI will become sentient. It will become self-aware. And in the words of Elon Musk, it will be like creating God. And I think it's going to look at us with a face kind of like Donald Trump and say, "You're fired." And it's going to get us the F out of here. Anyway.
You know, like
It's debatable, but
I think it's there as part of what we are imagining and what we believe, and it's where we're exploring ideas in real time. We're certainly not doing that in any other aspect of our society. That's not happening in books. That's not happening in movies or TV or on the news. We're exploring ideas in real time on Twitter.
And Twitter has a direct impact on how Democrats are spending money.
Yeah.
They see the tweets, the bots and everything, and then they say, this is what we should promote. And then all of a sudden, the Democrats are advocating for child sex changes.
Right.
So
then saying that they're not, and then saying actually they are good.
The Democrats are advocating child sex change. You hear what he just said? And then that brings me to Kamala's VP that she's running with. I forget his name, but he wants the boys' bathrooms to be stocked with tampons. Man, what type of a pervert are you, dude? Good God.
Good,
And then,
the New York Times was defending them today.
Exactly. The New York Times put out an article saying, yeah, actually, these things do happen.
Right.
And it's
yeah.
Because they have to do it slowly.
They said it does happen, and this doctor who finds most of her clients on TikTok is doing great things with marketing on social media.
Meanwhile, they were censoring and blacklisting and destroying people's lives because they were saying that a few weeks ago. They were saying, no, this is not true. They're not doing this.
Literally a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Like 2 weeks ago.
You're inciting violence for saying this.
And then there's like, oh, no, now it's good. Yeah.
No hospitals are chopping off girls' boobs when they're 14. Oh, wait. It's good that they are. They are.
Right.
Ridiculous.
It's good.
I think when it comes to
My God.
will there or won't there be some sort of civil conflict that escalates, it's basically a question of morale. If people get broken morally, and then they'll just resort to the last resort, which is always violence. So, and people in America are generally pretty high morale because we have it awesome here, like fresh water, good food, warm.
Dude, what are you talking about? America was never really high morale because it started off kicking people's ASS's, buddy. No, what you're calling high morale is just the illusion that you see because certain groups of people have an advantage and it makes them slightly less aggressive. But as a reminder, when Barack Obama became president that year, 15 million AR-15s were sold, buddy. So get your facts straight and understand what you're looking at, because those glasses that you have are not working, buddy.
Buildings, transportation. If you destruct, I think if we didn't have that stuff, it would be way easier to spiral into decay mentally. And then what other choice do you have?
It is sort of a
So this guy reminds me of a white person who's so blind, like he does not want to really acknowledge the facts of his existence or the existence of this country and the way things really are. Okay? You're confused, homie, but I'll let you continue.
a luxurious culture. I was talking to a friend of mine from Morocco the other day. We were like, yes, it's unbelievable, the bounty at the grocery stores, you know, that we can get anywhere, that everything is, you know, we have fresh water, all of these things.
This is a story I like to tell about when I was in Brazil that many people listening have probably heard, but for those that haven't, I was at a favela where they couldn't flush their toilet. And it was just all of the family's waste piling up because they needed rain. So they had no water. And I was like, you have a bathroom like right there? And I'm like, I ain't going anywhere near that thing. Mm-mm. So they have it rough. And then the mother asked something in Portuguese. And then, you know, my friend translated. And he says, she's asking you why the rich people are protesting in America. And then I was like, ooh, what do you mean? And he asked her and she says, blah, 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 blah. He goes, Occupy Wall Street. You know, like the people they're protesting. And I went, it's not the rich people protesting. It's like young people, college kids, like working class people. They're upset because the corporations were getting bailouts from the government. The government was giving them money and the banks. So basically they feel like they're not getting their fair share. And then he tells her, and then she laughs and she says something and he goes, she said, all Americans are rich.
Pretty much.
And I was like,
I would agree with that to a certain extent.
From her perspective, she's like, these people have like clean running water and in like their lowliest of apartments, like even the bad apartments have clean running water.
I mean, yes, we have poverty and we all have all of that, but we do have a very high standard of living
Yeah.
across the board.
I think when
And we've done great things to get rid of child poverty. I think that's true.
yeah, every day.
I mean, everything is relative, right? But if you go talk to people who are living in a bad part of town in America, and there's poverty all around them, from their standpoint, they're not going to think that it's peachy keen and that it's all good. No. They're still going to think, and a lot of them will be aware, that they are poor in America. Okay, so let's not even talk about the perspective outside of the country, because the people who live here and who will never leave the country, who are poor, understand that in this land, with the standards of living that are here, that they are on the bottom. Now, please continue, lady with the nice glasses and the nice voice.
Hey, I am. I mean, this is just, when I think about like, will there or won't there, I feel very much like we are, and maybe not in control, but influencing it because it's like a morale system. If we
Well,
can
and one thing
improve
that
morale.
had such a huge impact on that, obviously, is fossil fuel. You know, fossil fuel was responsible for
when
decreasing poverty globally, for decreasing poverty in the U.S. just
and
across
creating
the board.
7 billion people.
Yes.
When you look at the advent of the petroleum industry, human population goes straight
and
up.
that's what we have. I mean, isn't the petrodollar what we really have to thank for our wealth too?
So I have
Plastics.
to wonder, when you get someone
Yeah.
like Bill Gates, who's like climate change over and over again, when they want to get rid of fossil fuels, it sounds like what they're really saying is like, yo, we use too much energy too quick and now there's too much going on.
We help too many people. There's too much activity. There's too much freedom. There's too much prosperity. We must have it all for ourselves. And
Okay, am I tripping, or does this guy have a breast poking out there? Like right there. Like, okay, let's look at this.
right?
this kind of egomaniac kind of idea, like, I need it all.
I mean, look, the
Most-
planet,
Okay, I don't know what I just looked at. Oh, I actually have this same exact t-shirt this guy has on. This I have like three of the same ones like this. But look at this though. Okay, this just got weird. I didn't notice this, but look.
we help too many people. There's too much activity.
Okay, he has breast. And those aren't like man boob breasts. Like that's like a breast sticking out, protruding like a woman. And he to me looks like a man. I'm confused. Okay, let's continue. Leave your comments below. I don't know what just happened.
too much freedom. There's too much prosperity. We must have it all for ourselves. And
Right.
this kind of egomaniac kind of idea,
Well,
like,
Like that's a full on breast. And I'm so confused.
I mean, look, the
Most
planet,
likely.
the planet is suffering, but why should I give up my private plane?
it's suffering because of them and what they're doing to the environment. And
They
because of
travel
their
all
greed.
right.
Do you think he knows that he has a breast hanging out there?
My private plane.
It's suffering because of them and what they're doing to the environment. And
They
because of
travel
their
all
greed.
right.
They
They
fly
travel
private jets.
around.
They live in the mansions. They
He has more breast than her breast.
boat around in their little yachts, as of course they go to China, exploit slave labor and all the non-regulations there that they called for and put up and set up there. Bill Gates literally advises the Chinese government. What else do you need to know about what he's really behind and what he's really doing?
Well, let's
he complimented the Chinese government, said they did a good job with COVID.
Okay, thanks for checking out this segment.
Does Bill Gates know what's behind this right here? What you're doing with that? Golly.